Welcome to Edison TV. I'm Catherine Thompson, Technology Analyst at Edison, and I'm here today with Hans-Petter Mellerud, CEO of Zalaris. Zalaris is a Norwegian headquartered and listed provider of HR and payroll solutions, operating across 17 countries in Europe and Asia Pacific. Welcome, Hans-Petter.
Thank you, Catherine. Glad to be here.
Just to kick off, for viewers who don't already know you, could you give us a brief overview of the business?
Yeah, sure. So Zalaris is a leading European provider of global payroll and human capital management solutions, delivered through software as a service, outsourcing, and consulting models. We were founded 25 years ago, and as you mentioned, we are headquartered in Oslo, Norway. Our solutions enable fully digital processes for payroll and human capital management, and we target typically cost savings for customers of 20 to 30%. Our key differentiators include delivering services as a single, common, multi-country solution that satisfies GDPR requirements. Additionally, we have highly competent resources to serve our complex customers' needs with local expertise and language skills in the countries where our customers' employees are located. We are a market leader among mid-sized companies with cross-border needs and have a strong customer portfolio, including some of the largest corporations in the Nordics, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, or DACH, UK, Ireland, and APAC. In Q1 that we recently reported, we achieved a revenue of 370 million kroner for the quarter, which was up 16.2% year on year, and an adjusted EBIT of 14.1%, which was up from 10.9% last year. And this translates to an annualized revenue of about 1.5 billion, of which 75% is generated by our managed services business unit, and the remaining 25% by our consulting unit. And of the managed services revenue, about 90% is recurring based on long-term agreements, and about 55% of our consulting revenue is likewise recurring. So that's a short sum up of our business.
And just over a year ago, you announced a strategic review, kind of looking at all aspects of the business. Could you give us an update on how that's progressing?
Yeah, it's kind of limited what I can say, but it's the strategic review process is still ongoing, and by significant operational improvements, as I just also mentioned, and a very strong share price performance since the announcement, our board of directors have taken a measured and thoughtful approach to evaluate all the strategic alternatives that we have. And we expect to conclude the process by the end of Q2, and shareholders will be updated as soon as further information becomes available.
And you kind of referred to this already, but you recently reported Q1 results, which showed continued strong revenue growth and margin expansion. Could you talk about the main factors driving this performance?
Yeah, sure. As previously mentioned, we reported year-on-year growth of more than 16% for the last quarter, which is well above our communicated target growth rate of 10%. And most of this growth comes from our managed services, as long-term agreements for the provision of local, regional, global outsourced payroll and HR services are being implemented and recognized. In recent years, we have seen considerable interest in our services, resulting in the closure of significant new agreements with customers. Additionally, we observe that existing customers are expanding their services with us, both functionality and geographically. So our margin improvements are driven by increased scale, as well as operational enhancements, particularly within our German organization, where over the past year, we've implemented our Zalaris 4.0 operating model. This model leverages more cost-effective nearshore and offshore resources alongside a heightened level of digitization and automation of processes. We're also beginning to see productivity gains from AI and are working relentlessly to leverage new technologies, including AI, to target full automation of processes with the corresponding potential to improve customer margin. So the result that we see is really coming from a very structured, focused approach, with particularly over the last 18 months in Germany.
Great. And with those results, you also set some new longer-term financial targets. Could you talk us through those, but also the progress you made for your FY26 targets as well?
Yeah. As outlined in our Capital Markets Day in the fall of 23, which is now 18 months ago, we set an annual growth rate target of 10%, with a goal of reaching a total run rate revenue of 1.5 billion by 26. That was actually by the end of 26. Encouragingly, based on our recent quarterly performance, we are well ahead of schedule and on track to achieve this milestone, as I also mentioned, now in 25 for the year, actually. And the majority of our growth continues coming from managed services, where the revenue composition is evolving more favorably than anticipated, and we're seeing a higher share of high-quality recurring revenue from long-term agreements, which typically range from 5 to 7 years in duration. Over the past 2 years, our annual growth rate has been approximately 18%, or 14% when adjusted for currency effects. And this sustained growth has largely been driven by increased revenue from existing and new contracts within managed services, as I also mentioned. And given our trajectory, we have set new targets, and we now aim for 2 billion in revenue by 2028, with an EBIT margin of 13 to 15%. While some competitors already achieve margins beyond this level, our priority now is to first ensure consistent delivery within this target range before setting more ambitious profitability goals. And our strategy for continued growth remains anchored in our core service offerings, including multi-country global payroll for the mid-market, our evolving HR services and global capability center product lines, and a comprehensive suite of SAP consulting services now functioning increasingly as a global business unit. And to support this, we are refining our go-to-market approach with a more clearly defined land and expand strategy aimed at scaling both within existing accounts and across new geographies. So I think that's also add to this that we already have 80 million of contracted recurring revenue net of churn that's already been secured but not recognized. We are fairly confident that we'll be able to also sustain our growth trajectory over also the next 12 months.
And finally, could you talk us through what you're seeing in terms of trading environment, particularly in the light of the uncertainty that's come out of the US tariffs, and how you're positioning your offering to navigate this?
Yeah, surely. It's definitely somewhat of a crazy world out there with the changing with the changing environments almost on a day-to-day basis. But these macroeconomic uncertainties and volatility, and I think in this context, businesses are more than ever seeking stability, efficiency, and trusted partnerships. And our business model, rooted in long-term agreements and the delivery of essential services, that is a foundation for staying in business like payroll. We can offer exactly that. And this foundation ensures reliability and continuity even in these unpredictable times. And it has shown that our value proposition, centered around cost efficiency and strategic flexibility, is especially compelling during recessionary or uncertain economic period, as clients seek ways to optimize operations without compromising on quality and compliance. And experience from previous crises and downturns has shown that such periods often prompt customers to initiate cost reduction and strategic transformation initiatives, leading to increased demand for outsourcing-based business models. So, as we see it, as a European provider, we deliver services that are hosted within Europe and are also underpinned by European values, including data privacy, regulatory alignment, and cultural proximity. So we think that these are increasingly important differentiators for our clients across the region, and think we'll be competing very well, particularly against our, say, American-based competitors for the next foreseeable future.
Great. Well, Hans-Petter, thanks very much for speaking to me today, and I'm looking forward to the outcome of the strategic review.
Thank you, Catherine. Really nice talking to you, and I look forward to update you soon.
Great. Thanks.